Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Oxymoron. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers! Oh, such an intense episode. I would cry too if it happened to me, Delia. Welcome to an all-new episode of our after show for Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Sam Davidson. If you guys haven't done so already, please go on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, rate, review, subscribe. We love hearing your feedback. Tonight is the finale, or Tuesday was the finale. We're discussing it tonight, so let us know what you think because we have a lot of feelings. And also, our special guest, I think Will Kemp, has some...
Hello, ladies.
Has some feelings as well. Thank you so much for being here.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we have literally petitioned to get him here all season, and we have. We did it. You guys should be proud. Thank you so much. I also have an awesome panel of ladies here with me. Introduce yourself. Let us know where we can find you on Twitter.
I'm Tara Johnson. You can find me at TJ Wagon or Tail.
I'm Lindsey Miller. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Rockin' Mama Life.
And you can find me, Isis Velazquez, the number 4 on Instagram and Facebook.
And you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, at SamD43 on Twitter and Instagram, and AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV on all social media platforms. Tonight we are talking about Season 2, Episode 13. This is always such a chore, and the last time I did it wrong, of course. I'm usually so on, Will.
Distracted by the beauty.
Well. It is going well so far.
Yeah, this is going very well.
We're having a good time here. I get the leather couch, which has been very well used by the looks of it. It's like dropping into the middle here, literally.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's a British thing. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, the casting couch.
And here we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey.
We've begun. It's party time.
It's
party time.
That's it. You guys, last rule of the season, number 59, happily ever after is an oxymoron.
Can we just address the rules?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is with the number? Do you know what is with
Well,
the number?
they change. Some of them change. You get a script in, it's a certain rule, or there's a ... and we don't know. I have no idea. Is it connected to the original books?
I don't know. I guess how many of these rules are there?
Maybe they're trying to confuse us by changing the numbers so that if
It
we run
goes
for
from
years
like
and years,
89
they'll
to
just be
like
doing this. They're changing it.
576. It's like, what is happening? Somebody needs some math skills.
You know what? I think it's from the future, and it's when Abby is super successful, and they're like retelling her story, and it's rule number blah blah blah.
Do you remember?
Yeah. That's what
That's
I
a
think.
theory.
Because it is interesting about the rules because there's no priority, is there? Like, rule number 1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
right.
then
There is
it
none.
just
Don't
jumps
get
around.
married.
No.
Don't get married. We would have a show that would Girlfriend's Guide to Don't Get Married. Doesn't ring quite Girlfriend's
That
Guide
would
to
just stop
Divorce.
the
You gotta
whole
get married
thing.
first.
Well, this whole episode is about marriage,
I
and
know.
I wanted to
Or not.
ask,
Oh
yeah.
wow, but for
Weddings.
Delia of all people,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
My
Good
question
gracious.
for you though was
Yeah.
when these two episodes, 12 and 13, were shot, it was basically one big episode.
Absolutely, yeah.
So was it shot that way?
It was treated very much like that. The locations, of course, were the same, pretty much. We had 2 directors, though. Marti Noxon, our creator, directed the final one, which was fantastic. And Robert McNeil who's our showrunner, directed 12. So hand in hand, it was very much treated like a double episode.
Did you
Very
guys
much
like
so.
that? Because I loved the continuation of the two.
Yeah. I think it definitely adds, especially when you have a finale, like any time that it like really builds and like is consistent, I think it makes it
no,
the
definitely. I
storylines.
certainly felt, and I know that the others that were on it for a long time very much felt that towards the end everything was getting so crazy and so cray. And because we were in that one location, a big house with the wedding thing in the background, literally everyone was getting a little bit stir crazy, which I think helps.
Yeah, definitely. Method actor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I am going nuts. Get me out.
How many hours did it take for you guys to shoot all those 2 episodes?
We do. What do we do? We do like an 8-day episode. So with the weekend in between.
Okay.
So yeah, it was like a back-to-back.
Okay, and it was
2
just,
weeks
was
ago.
that easier for you guys, kind of being in the same, like, place, situation that you were in the episode before?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime you get a thing that helps you with continuity, it's a gift. I mean, one of the tricky things for me for this was not knowing quite where Scott was going in the next episode, or even if I was going to be in the next one. Because I was only ever meant to do 3, which turned into 6, which then ended up being 12
Mind
out
blown.
of 13. Yeah.
Which is
Yours and mine.
amazing.
Yeah, which is
because-
fantastic.
Yeah.
But again, it is challenging. So anytime you have something where you know ahead of time, it's fantastic, and it really helps that, because
But
we
how-
all then know the stories
Yeah.
that we can then create an arc and work into.
Yeah. But how awesome is it that your fine rear ends like literally booked you?
about to say.
They were like, well, we can't get rid of him now.
I know.
Everybody
Listen,
loves it.
I had an amazing time, and I just said, you
And
keep
what a
writing.
storyline! Like,
Yeah.
to like really get some depth to your character, I think is really cool.
Absolutely, I had an amazing time. The girls are fantastic. I mean, as you can see, the chemistry that they bring to the show, and then the guys in it too, the boyfriends of the girlfriends.
Yeah.
We all banded together and had a great time too.
Well, I have a big question to ask you about that in a little bit, but talking about the ladies, we're all band together with them at the beginning of the episode. They are on damage control.
Yes.
Super.
Yeah.
Could you imagine having, one of your best friends have that happen to her and then have to be like, okay, guys, let's just try to get everyone really drunk and feed
I
them.
love that.
Like,
I love
yeah.
it. It's like shit's hit the fan. What you do? Just get them drunk. Get them drunk, and they will never
And
notice
make it happen as
the
fast
wedding.
as possible.
They will never.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get this done now. I love that.
And let's have the craziest person of the bunch take control right now.
But that's the beauty of it. She's the crazy of the bunch, but when you need her, she like calms and she has like
Yeah.
the whole plan. She's like feed them, street them, and get them out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She was
That's the
probably
greatest
like
thing,
that
yeah.
girl who, like, in college was like, drunkest of the bunch, like dancing at a bar table. But if somebody's like puking in the corner, she's like, "Mom," like
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
cleans her up and gets her
Into it.
home.
Absolutely.
You know.
I agree, and I think that it was so fun to see all these ladies interact together this way. With Delia's dress, under her dress, they...
Yes, I love that.
That was great, wasn't
Like,
it?
are
That
you
was
wearing
Phoebe,
panties?
right?
Of course, she's like,
great
I don't
line.
know.
I don't remember.
They really...
Right.
And they went
Yeah,
through
you
a
tell
lot.
me.
They went
I
through
love that
so
Phoebe
much.
stayed under the dress
Yeah, it's
after
weird
that.
that she
Like,
had
she
to
wasn't
ask.
like,
Yeah,
okay.
She was really drunk, probably.
yeah.
Well,
Very dark under there.
Yeah.
before we get into, like, the awesomeness of Scott, which is... I think this is his peak episode, really.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
we have some...
Well, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say
There were some other peak
about it.
moments in a different
Couple of
sense.
cheeky episodes. What do you think?
with some
Yeah.
bread and that kind of thing. I
think-
think that would get my vote.
I
Maybe.
think for these,
Oh,
for these,
ladies, I'm blushing here. Look at me.
oh my
There's a
God,
little red on this black couch. Yeah.
And a father.
ladies, focus here, please. You
Yeah,
too.
sort them out, please. Come on. The sensible one on the end, please.
No, I really do. I agree with Sam.
Yeah.
See,
Well,
they keep on going, you guys. I agree with Sam. I gotta say that this last episode and the episode before, it was really great moment for you, for your character, and for me, it finally settled you into hopefully the second and third and fourth
Third
season.
and fourth, God bless you.
Yes, third and fourth season. So I gotta say that I was
Not
really,
the fifth, but
Yeah,
the third and
yeah,
fourth.
yeah, forever,
definitely.
yeah. Fifth would be good though, right? Yeah.
But that's exciting. Like, I was excited
is.
for you as your
Yeah.
character to
Oh, that's
continue.
sweet.
And I think for me, it made me fall in love with your character and like fall in love. Like, okay,
Yeah.
like I want to believe him. I trust him, even though she doesn't trust you.
Yeah.
Me as an audience, I'm like, okay.
Well,
I can
Isis
see the
loved
goodness.
Albert, so...
I
you
love
know,
them all.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should listen
Wait,
to her.
every man, listen, no. Every man has something
No,
good.
you did not like Gordon. You were
wait,
totally Team
Excuse
Albert.
me, but he is like a man whore, so
That is
nobody
not
like
a
man
Scott,
whore.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's
not you.
specify.
Not Will.
Very
careful.
careful.
I
Will.
feel slightly outnumbered here.
Will is a very nice man.
But what is as your character, a man
Yeah.
whore, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it? Not every girl likes that, but. Now,
No.
for me, I didn't like you because of that. I was like, oh, you're not good. She has a daughter. But now I saw that soft side of you, and I said, well, he could repent and, just be a one-woman man.
Absolutely, I think Scott becomes more like a pastry throughout. Crispy on the inside, but soft and gooey on the inside.
I like
and
that.
and that was a gift. That was a gift because again, the challenge for me throughout was I never knew where this guy was going. I never quite, and it was a fine line to walk of being this man whore, being this sort of crazy vegan baker, very intense, who's either baking or shagging, and it was very black and white. But with Joe was the only one that Scott had known, of course, in the past, and is prepared to travel from New York to LA on this new adventure to come to set up Rise. And I think that what was lovely about it was that these two people that don't judge each other, they really do, they get each other, they understand each other's flaws, and they allow each other to do whatever they need to do what they do. And so when I got that sort of gift of actually being able to tell Joe what I was really feeling, it was literally a sort of an absolute first time, but it was always there. But for Scott, he'd never really been confident enough or brave enough to discuss it or even address it.
And I loved it. I love exactly what you just said. I think this is, and I've said it all along, it's like my favorite love story of the entire show because I think it's super real. And, I'm a little icy. Similar to
you say that.
I am. Like, literally, my husband was, like, crying at our wedding, and I was like, it's time to save the house. Like, he was, like, bawling, and I was like, honey, you're supposed to talk.
Sounds a lot like me.
He is, like, super sappy, and I'm a little rough around the edges, and, like, I feel a connection to Joe's character in the sense of, like, not really understanding how somebody can love you for all of those flaws. And I think it's so pure and so beautiful that these two people that are very flawed individually, like, they really do, like you said, they accept each other for who they are and who they're not, and they're not trying to change them or fix them. They just love everything, the good, the bad, whatever. And it's I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's rare that two people very different come together and don't try and change each other. And of course, if we do go anywhere else, that's what will be interesting. I would love to see, can these people have a relationship with all their flaws and all their things? Will they go back to their old habits? Can they change? Will they try and change each other? And that's the interesting sort of dynamic that we're at now for Scott and Joe.
Yeah. It's kind of fire with fire, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And who's gonna relent or not relent? And will it be just be fire the whole time? But for me, again, it was great that Scott actually began to just go, okay, the mitts are off, and he began to sort of not manage her, but everything he did was for her.
Everything. This whole episode, we see him doing everything for her.
Everything, even Frumkus, looking out for Frumkus, the cooking, getting in on the plan. Okay, we're going to do something, to the point that when things do start to go wrong, what does he do? A big dramatic, right, shut this guy up. Last thing he
He's like Joe's bodyguard, kind of.
Exactly, and very protective, which was a lovely sort of essence for me to play as a guy on a girl's show, was to actually be a guy in it also, and actually be able to do that.
Did you really get to punch Frumkus?
Did I really get the problem? I
Did you have a stunt double for that one?
Well, for the punch, no, the punch is all us. Murray's amazing. I had a great time with him. Actually, we bonded, and it was he's a genius actor. But that was a lovely moment.
Because I wanted to punch
just
him.
To pop him.
I loved it.
But again, he also redeemed. There's a bit where he's endearing. I found. Yeah. Right, there's a little bit you go like, oh my God, he really is just, a sad drunk. He really has screwed up. But he's a bigamist. I get it, and there's a lot of shit that he's done.
Yeah, all of a sudden, like, it's okay. Like, he's talking about he's like, I married this one, I married that one, and everyone's like, okay. If a woman did that, like, I've been married to two men at the same time, they'd be like, oh God, how dare you? And I think that's a very interesting theme of this episode, is that women versus men, the way things are happening, it would be perceived differently. Like with Abby and the gigolo situation.
Victor Webster.
What a shyster.
Oh, yeah.
Carl.
Right? Carl.
Oh, God. Can you do that again?
Carl.
That is perfect.
What did you guys expect? That's what he does. Like,
I don't know. I think he definitely appeared to have a different kind of relationship with Abby. And, like, didn't he, like, want her to help him get a book deal? Like, come the F on.
But wasn't there a little seed that was sown earlier on where he did begin to question stuff? I'm sure they talked about it.
He basically says, I dropped your name at the agency.
That's it.
So that lets you know.
Super shiesty.
That he was going to use her in some form.
Yeah.
Well, he was
after
using
they
her.
had sex, he was like,
They were using each other.
Victor Webster as well. So
But why would you say that if you planned on really exposing this woman? Like, if I were him and I'm planning on exposing this woman, I'd just shut up and be like, great seeing you, bye-bye. You know, not say, I'm going to mention your name at WME.
Well, do you think that because she didn't help him get a book deal, he put her name in the book?
Maybe.
you see.
I think he was just
Hollywood
trying to
for
get
you.
whatever deal he could get and throw out whatever name he could throw out. And at the time when she called on him, he was doing his duty, which is help women in need, whatever that may be. And then when the opportunity came for him,
he was helping women in need.
I mean, she needed
a lot of
him.
needing.
In different ways. Needs need to be fulfilled, and that's what he
I
did
agree.
at that time.
I second that motion.
I love how she, like, tries to explain it, too. She's like, well, I didn't pay him for sex. I paid him just to talk.
Isn't that just
And then I
genius?
had sex
And
with
then
him another time.
And it just
I can
comes
see
full
how that
circle.
sounds bad, but...
But hang on, that was a fantastic bit with Barb. I know we're jumping
Barbara.
around, taking up the shots.
No. Go ahead.
But those two, that exact thing when she's on the stairs there and she's trying to sort of justify it, and then when she realizes when she says it that it's weird, and then she's on the phone to Kat.
It's not okay.
It's brilliantly written, very clever.
really
It's funny because I was thinking the same thing Abby was. I was like, no, she didn't pay him for sex.
Yeah.
She paid him to talk, and then and she got a creep. And when she said it, though, it's like, oh, yeah. That's kind of bad.
Yeah.
And then she has to explain it to her daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that is like a whole craziness we're going to get into at the end.
We're just jumping around. You should
Sorry,
probably...
I'm totally screwing you up here.
No.
Come on, Sam.
You
tell
guys,
me.
it's the finale, and we are having fun because...
It's party time.
It's party
It's my
time.
party. I can
we
cry
have
if I
Will
want
Kemp
to.
here.
Absolutely. I have been crying. You've been crying? No, you don't cry.
That's right.
I don't cry.
The
Heartless.
husband's job.
Heartless.
That's the husband's job.
As every good husband should.
Absolutely.
Cry daily.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Becca and Jake. Jake comes back. Yay.
With a
Yay,
beard.
Jake.
With a
With
beard.
a beard. He looks good with a
He was
beard,
good.
right?
I like
Paul
him with
looks
the
good
beard.
with a beard.
I'm not a fan of the beard. It's a whole lot of...
Well, you'd know I don't get that close to him, so I don't know.
I was digging
I'm
it.
just saying visually. He looked like he had some rough moments.
I think he
beard.
did.
He was in Latvia,
He
shooting
did.
in Latvia. Do you know
Latvia.
what that's like, shooting in Latvia?
I do not. Have you
Ooh.
shot in Latvia?
I can only... I've shot in a lot of places that way, and I'm sure.
But
There's no razors there. I don't know.
the scruffy look was meant to show that.
Yeah,
Because he did talk about
Then he'd
having a
been
hard
away.
time.
Yeah.
He has been having a hard time, just like Abby.
So what do? You grow a beard. As a guy, you grow a
Obviously.
beard when you're having a hard time.
I'm going to
You
grow a
grow
beard next time I have a hard time.
And women can't grow beards. Like, what are we supposed to do?
well, some women
fall on
can.
the floor.
Yeah. Pretty sure my grandma had a bit of a beard at some point.
Probably
Some
wasn't
women
on
do. They
purpose.
just try not to.
Bless her soul.
But when Jake comes back, you know, he kind of just learns about everything that's going on with Abby
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yes.
And he goes to Becca's, and she, you know...
Becca has lost her ish.
I loved that scene.
I loved it too.
Juliana, when you just entered into that room.
She was great.
And you could just drop kick a baby, did she say?
Right, yeah. And then I was
The
thinking duct tape.
chaos.
Just duct tape.
Duct
And he's
tape,
like,
that's it.
give me
It's
the
just
baby.
Genius. Genius.
Yeah, she's going to duct tape the baby's mouth.
Mm-hmm. But it's true. I mean, I've never considered duct taping my child's mouth, nor have I considered drop kicking him or harming him in any way. But there are days when I swear my husband would come home from work, it was like the newborn phase, and just look at me and be like, okay.
Yes.
Hand me the baby and go for a walk, baby.
Yeah,
'Cause
lie
you
down.
Just, like,
Take
you
a
don't speak
shower.
to people
That's
all
right.
day. You're
Go
like
have a
just,
shower.
And when they don't stop screaming, it's like, oh.
No, it's true. That was
Yeah.
another very real,
Yeah.
moment. Very real.
I'd love to hear your take as kind of Becca's character as an actor, because when I started watching the show, I hated Becca. We were trained to hate Becca, I feel. And she's grown on me, and now even though she left her frickin' baby, I kind of feel bad for the girl still.
Yeah. I think with the show, it's they cast it so well. They've got some fantastic, talented actors, amazing actors. But I think you get characters like Scott that are brought in for the leads to cause them trouble or to give them stuff to do. And I think that Becca came in exactly as that. for Jake. He needed something. He had to have that balance between Abby or this, sexy actress.
CW.
Yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it? And I love it. Daniel Lissing, who plays a boyfriend, running into the thing in his unitard. Hilarious.
That was great.
But again, there's another person comes in to support, another player. So I think it's all credit to her, actually, and also the circumstances in which we see her with the baby, that you can't help but think that's a real situation, and it's not her fault. Maybe, I don't know. Depends on where you stand. Taye Diggs is a good-looking guy.
Yes.
I don't know.
I mean,
yes.
Taye Diggs, you can't blame her.
That's not a
Taye
position.
Diggs in season 3.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm
you never
Little
know.
Big. Hey.
So do you think, I know you mentioned you were only supposed to be on a couple episodes and then they extended your arc. Do you think, or do you know if Becca, if she was only supposed to be that initial kind of rebel rouser, and then they adjusted her storyline kind of like yours, and where they made her more endearing and more of this...
it could be. Do you know what? I honestly don't know the correct answer.
Yeah.
There's very little I do know. But
I love it.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Well, because now that you say that, then now I'm rethinking some of these characters who we see initially as one type of character, like Becca, where she grows on us, and it's her character arc has very much changed throughout the season. Right. And I wonder if it was one of those situations where they realized, oh wait, we have gold here. What if she had his baby? What if it was a black baby?
I think it's highly possible. Knowing the room of writers that we have, I think it's highly possible.
I love it.
Yeah, they're just there late at night and they're like, I don't know. Let's just throw this in there.
I'm just spitballing here, but...
Yeah. Taye Diggs, good-looking guy, right? How can we...
Well, I actually read an article that said they picked Taye Diggs specifically because they were like, well, he's so hot, you can't really blame it. You don't hate her that much.
And he seems like such a nice guy.
Absolutely. And Paul has worked with him before, so he was kind of mates with him
private
as well.
Practice, right?
Private practice, yeah, exactly. But he's right. Taye Diggs is a good-looking guy. It's like,
can't blame
Taye Diggs. Yeah.
Well, Jake is very awesome in this episode as a man, but
Daddy
also
bear.
we'll kind of get into it at the end about how I think his character changes, but we touched on this before a little bit. I still want to talk a little bit more about this Frumkus and Scott backstory, because Scott seems very used to pulling him back, almost saving Joe and taking care of drunk Frumkus. Mm-hmm. Do you know, or did you have to create the backstory for that? And I just wish we could see flashbacks and things like that of their life in New York.
Yes, no, I think, and we did have to create stuff, and I think that if for Scott and Joe, if you go back to New York, Rise in New York, Frumkus would have been on the scene a lot, which is also why we came to the conclusion that Joe and Scott have never had sex before. I don't think that there's been little things. She may have caught him having sex because that's what he does in the bakery, of course.
Well,
but I think
super sanitary.
When
he just bakes everything.
Yeah, absolutely, like that.
Yeah,
totally up to go.
Yeah.
Totally.
Hey, it tastes good. Hey, they're buying it.
Secret ingredient.
As long as they're buying it. Yeah, exactly. The secret. Yeah. Whenever you've seen that next secret ingredient, you know what that is.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not rethinking any B rating I see in New York City.
Anyway, back to your. I think you asked me a question.
Yes.
I think that Scott is somewhat used to Frumkus, and I didn't know until they wrote him in, and the first thing I think I said was like, "Hey, bro," big open arms, was like a man hug, and a sort of, "How you doing?" So there must have been a sort of, if he also owned the bakery. For Scott, that's very important because it's about self-preservation. Scott, throughout all the Charlene thing, the motivation there, apart from possibly getting a bit of sex on the side, was save my neck. If this goes down, I'm unemployed and I'm loving LA. And for him, it was about self-preservation, and that transfers over to Joe. How do I rescue us? He's the problem. Get him out the way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Do you guys think that Scott's a little smarter than he lets on?
Absolutely.
Smarter than he looks, were you going to say? Smarter than he looks.
No, it's not that you don't look smart, because you kind of look like a pilot right now. And
I like this, right? Yeah. This is your captain speaking. Approaching 35,000 feet. Yeah. Anything from the trolley? Yeah. Right.
So you could definitely pull smart off, but it's that Scott is kind of a little slutty that makes him seem not as smart.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because
slutty people can be smart too.
Yeah. And
you're right.
Yeah, they're slutty.
Yeah.
It's kind of smart.
They're totally smart.
But for Scott, it's pretty, basic. As I say, for him, it's baking or shagging. It's very simple. There's no problems. And that's what he doesn't get with Jo when she's having those things like, go watch her play tennis. What's the problem? She's your daughter. So for him, I think it's very clear what's right, what's wrong. You do this, you do this, you do this. So I think he is smart, but very pragmatic. Is that the right thing? Very sort of, well, you got to do this to get there, so do it.
You see things on face level. That's such like a man mentality. It's like all this like fluff. Like when you come to like your husband or boyfriend or whatever,
Who's
and you're
crying?
like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. They're like, I don't get what the problem is.
That's very
like all this
male
stuff. Yeah.
I always look for that. With a guy, we go and achieve a goal. It's very much directional. Women, as you know, will sit around and talk about everything all the time, about how they're feeling. And whatever. A guy will only ever go
like
to another
right
guy.
Now.
The only thing I'm doing now, I'm very in touch with my feminine side.
We got him, guys. We got him.
Yeah. I'm here all night. Try the lobster. But a guy will only ask another guy help. I can't figure out this problem when they really absolutely can't. And that was a joy for me to bring to the show, was that sort of always come at it from a guy's point of view.
Yeah.
Because then that hits the girls, and then you get drama and comedy.
Pixar.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
It is.
I like the depth. I mean,
Yeah.
this is
I know,
really
it's
good.
fuzzy. Yeah, get over yourself. It's a TV show. Yeah. It's my job.
No, it's like our lives, we just sit and watch it. At least I
That's
do.
it. Well, as women, of course, we just sit and talk about how we
You
feel.
guys are fantastic, though, because you really do analyze it. You really do get it. You're smart, intelligent. You're enjoying the show.
Keep
There's
going.
bits you don't like. Yeah. We got one. Yeah. I'm just gonna move this.
Well, speaking of ladies, let's talk a little bit about Abby and Barbara, which we have seen come full circle this season, which is a very fun thing to watch as a viewer.
And I really hope there is a season 3 because I really love Barbara and I love what she's brought in and what she brings out of Abby.
And how she's changing.
Yeah.
She's like getting it in with the DJ.
Yes,
over
the
the corner.
DJ.
By the
She
time
got some
yes,
action.
right.
Drink a
Sex
water.
on a
Sex
biscuit.
on a biscuit.
I
Got
love
some
that. That's
action.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, and she's like, before you, I was just a biscuit.
And they're like making out. I can't.
Love it.
Love Barbara.
She's fantastic, and you're absolutely right. Again, a wonderful character arc, a wonderful actress. To bring that out and to be the sort of what sort of rows or is up against Abby to begin with, and then actually being an ally. So
Yeah.
I was actually surprised she was so upset about the gigolo stuff because I feel like she would kind of be like, all right, Abby. Like she brought her to like the sexy house for the bachelorette party, and so I was like, okay, why are you throwing Abby shade about the mill?
that's what becomes interesting, isn't it? How far will a character go before they stand up and say, hang on, I have morals? Where's every character's line of like, do you know what, that's too far?
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yeah, you can
And
go to
that's
this
what's
fancy strip
interesting.
club, but you cannot let them put it in you.
Exactly.
I don't think
You've said that before. You need to practice that.
Yeah.
You need to practice that for kids. I think it's a good. I'm going to definitely
Teach that
remember
lesson
that
to your
line.
children. Yeah.
I think Barbara was upset because it also comes back to self-preservation. She was like, I've been working with you to get this brand where it needs to be. I hated your brand, but that was my job. This is what I need to do. I'm a single mom, blah, blah, blah. And you're blowing it for all of us. So get it together, because if you leave she, I'm stuck with these people I can't stand and a brand that has now helped me out. So, I mean, it was about her becoming friends, but it was also like a selfishness. Like, I want to continue the growth that I'm getting.
Don't act this up for me.
Don't mess this up, chick. Get this together.
I think Tara's right.
Thank you very much.
I don't know. I thought she was a little harsh, Barbara.
I agree.
But we came full circle. We love her. I also thought Jake was harsh with Abby towards the end of the episode.
See, I don't think they were harsh at all. I think Abby, through her crazy phase, needs some real truth.
God, does that mean that I'm crazy?
Came home, if you were married and you came home and like your husband was like in the news for like having sex with like a gigolo, you have a teenage daughter, she's like, your daughter's like holding his hair back while he pukes in the toilet. Like, I don't know. I think he had every right to be like, you have lost it, sister. Like, no.
Yeah.
What is happening?
There's that great scene when they're slumped down in the bathroom, I think, with a little
with the little
which
baby.
Is, again, is the Lisa Paul magic, which we all saw in season 1, and the Jake and Abby stuff that goes on. I think those two together.
Which they were not actually holding a baby in that scene. I just have to cut that out.
Yeah.
Prop department, that was
afford a
not
baby,
your
but
best work.
Children and animals, I tell you, and the smaller they all get.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's tough to work with.
Put a pillow in there. Let's keep it moving.
But okay, I want to say though, I mean, Abby is clearly sick, and we didn't even deal. I thought by the end of the end the finale, we would deal with she is diagnosed with something besides menopause that is making her go crazy, and the fact that she had been in the hospital, right? And I would expect Jake to have been like, "Whoa, you were in the hospital? What? That's messed up. Are you okay?"
He had a look on his face like that's shocking, but. I don't know.
All of it that was shocking. He was just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, apparently in Lafayette they don't have phones or.
I don't know if he could hear past
Well,
like
they don't have
male
razors,
gigolo
we've
and holding hair while
established that.
vomiting. Like I'm sure those were like the things that he was like.
Yeah.
But I think
You're keeping talking. But
he was so used to Abby taking on so much that if it manifested itself in her going to the hospital, I don't think he was that surprised, because he realizes you really do take on too much. You don't think about yourself. Because when she was like, "I took on too much," she was like, "You shocking." Like, so I mean.
Yeah. Maybe it's happened before.
Yeah, I mean, and because Joe even made references to, "You've done this before, like, don't go into your black hole, don't take it that way before." So I think, even though we've never seen it, she's done something similar to this before. Her crazy may not be as new, to them as it is to us. It's crazy, though.
I like that theory.
It's crazy.
That makes sense.
I don't think it needs to be diagnosable. I don't know. I think that like people, like very type A people, can just get like work themselves to the point of physical sickness, like exhaustion. You're not sleeping. You're not taking care of yourself. I don't think it necessarily needs to be something, psychological or like, medical that's causing it. I think she literally is just taking on way too much, going through a horribly, horribly stressful, like emotional time in her life and not coping with it and just pushing it aside and like busying herself with all this stuff, and it just exploded on her.
Denial is a pretty big thing, I think. I mean, I'm not saying it's a diagnosable like disease, but to deny how you really feel and like suppress it.
It's human nature,
That's
isn't it?
what I think. I think that's what she did the entire season. Yeah.
And this is just microcosm. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I love this show and Marti Noxon, as like a writer, producer, and director of this episode is that it's real. It's the finale. She didn't need to tie it up in a big pretty bow.
Little pretty bows or ribbons.
Yeah, no, Marti's a real sort of trailblazer, actually, I think, with this kind of stuff.
I agree.
And she has a wonderful group of writers that are they're very smart women, and there's a guy there who's great too.
Gotta have one of those.
Gotta have a guy. The token guy, right? What's the diversity thing we're all talking about? Yeah, we gotta have a guy. Yeah. But no, they are, and that's what attracted me to the show. And I remember the very first time I watched it. Even I was at home. My wife was watching it, and I was in the kitchen. I walked by with some plates. That's not always the case. I don't always just do thing. And I just got hooked, caught into it. I think again it was a scene with Jake and Abby, and I found myself like stopped, completely paused in what I was doing, because I was immediately drawn in, because it's real. It's heightened and crazy at times, but we can all identify with everything. And I think that's what Marti and the creators get so well. And I think that's why the show is such a success.
So we can expect a season 3. Can we say that we can expect a season 3?
We don't know.
I haven't heard anything. Lisa said she'd tell me
he doesn't even know when the next episode happens.
Well,
Yeah, it hasn't aired in London yet, so
Well,
He's like,
let's
I haven't
say,
even seen the show.
or the UK. I should say.
Will's like living in the future right
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon.
so since we're living in the
And
future,
it's on iTunes, I think. Yeah, you can
You just won't pay for it.
download it now.
I will not pay for my own
Season
work.
and binge it. Yes. I'm gonna sit at home and watch me.
you're in the future. We're gonna keep on
Okay.
continuing being in the future, and why don't we go into predictions to saying that there is gonna be a season 3?
AfterBuzz
It's gonna happen.
TV.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what your script will look like in season 3.
Okay. Wow.
All right,
Okay.
it might
Season
happen.
3, according to ISIS.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Okay, you're on. You're gonna be on season 3, of course.
Nice. Thank you very much. Thank you. Can I get a raise?
Well, if you keep on showing your goodies, of
Oi.
course, they bump it up.
per cheek.
Yes, per
Is that what
yeah,
it's like
you should.
Halle Berry charge per boob in.
Did she really?
You
Yeah.
could be
That
one
was,
of
like,
one of those actors that gets in the book for record for for.
Yeah.
Have you insured it yet? I think that's like
good
very
question.
important.
Lords
Who-
of London.
Be right
Sure,
up
my
there
tush.
with like the Kardashians and
Oh,
J
that's an
Lo
honor.
and
J-Lo
Yeah.
Naomi
and-
Campbell
Yeah.
and all those kind
I
of
got
people.
it.
yeah. Nicki Minaj, I think is insured.
Show my
hers.
donut.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Well, I think your character is gonna continue on with Joe, and of course, I think now there might be something that maybe Joe is gonna open up her heart, but I think she's also gonna be helping Frumpus, because remember, his daughter is very important to her.
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, her daughter. So
Yeah.
she sees how Frumpus affects her daughter. Even though her daughter is opening up her eyes and seeing, he's a drunk or whatever, she's still gonna help Frumpus. Like her daughter asked her, "Mom, you're gonna help him. You're gonna take care of him." And I think that's gonna be what's keeping you and Joe from kind of like continuing pursuing you guys' relationship, because she's still gonna feel tied to Frumpus in some sense.
That sounds interesting. Listen, as long as I get an opportunity to work with Alana for me was a gift on this show.
Love her.
It was an absolute joy to
Love
come to
her.
work with that woman. She kept me on my toes the whole time. I learned so much from her. She's a really special
She
lady.
is. She's
I
honestly one of the
agree.
most favorite people I've ever met,
Yeah.
honestly, and ever interviewed.
And you
it.
see how you as an actor, how excited you are to be with her.
Yeah, you
Imagine
kidding?
us, the
We have
audience,
fun.
just
Yeah.
watching you guys.
My prediction is season 3 is the blooper reel from season 2 because the stuff that didn't, I'm sure, make it. We threw pastries at each other. She would ad-lib. We had such a good time on that. It was
much
so
fun.
much that.
So we want to
wasn't-
see more of that.
And-
More
well,
of you
yeah.
guys,
Yeah,
crazy
exactly.
interaction. Well, I don't think it's crazy. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
You guys really just mesmerize the audience with your chemistry.
Oh, that's very
So
lovely.
hopefully it's gonna be there.
Absolutely.
I have a lot more. I would say the new is it Barbara? Barbara. I think Barbara is gonna be now Abby's new kind of like, how she fired the.
Oh, she fired her writer, her
she
like
fired-
publisher.
That's interesting.
She fired the publisher, so now Barbara is gonna come in and kind of like, because Barbara releasing her now, releasing her brand, and Barbara is gonna see all the train wreck that Abby's gonna go through, but she's gonna kind of like help revamp her career.
Which I didn't get that when she fired her publicist, right? Her publicist was like, have you, at least you don't have children or whatever?
Yeah, her publicist.
And she was like, I have children. Have you ever read my stuff? And she's like,
I have people for that.
people
But like,
that.
but earlier she was like complaining that it was rubbish. So I was like, what are you?
Her other books, like her first books, were about her kids and being like,
she didn't read those ones. She only read this one.
Well, Barbara has read. Barbara knows Abby, but so she's gonna be another one of the girlfriends.
That's a very interesting point, because also what was lovely with watching Barbara, she was always kind of in the office and very enclosed and very isolated, and actually what was lovely was to see her with the girls and actually have that sort of fun with friends, and it was almost allowing her to have new friends and to sort of mellow down a bit. So I think you're right that would be an interesting thing to explore for her.
All right, good.
Become, I don't know, part of the girls.
Those are my main 2 predictions, because
Wow.
that's what I want to continue seeing. Oh, you guys have. Come on.
I think we have some
season
stuff
3,
we
come
need
on.
to
Yeah,
to
we should
address.
probably- we should
like,
probably
we should. Sorry.
talk about the show.
Phoebe and JD getting married.
Oh.
Yeah, they did get married.
We have been skipping over them kind of the whole
Yeah,
season because
we
we're like
just
they're
party-
a little
partying.
weird.
They're a little
well, no,
awkward.
the entire season we're just been like Phoebe and JD. Okay, cool. Let's talk about this, that, done.
Right.
We're just. I mean, the only happy ending that we have got from this finale was Phoebe and JD. Everyone else is kind of like, I might go home and kill myself. Like,
Yeah.
But good for them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Maybe.
That was, but
I feel like everyone was like,
did you not that scene with them looking out onto the window together? I thought was really beautiful.
it was
I thought
so
that-
beautiful.
I thought that Beau and Aaron really brought that, and again, I think Matt probably mentioned this last week. To just watch them, it's fascinating. These 2, characters that you would never put together in a million years. Watching them just little bits and watching his effect on Phoebe was heartbreaking. She was emotionally raw, and maybe she has found it third time around.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe it is possible.
Third
Who
time's the
knows?
charm. Right?
well, there's something
Yeah.
really sweet and innocent and almost childlike about their relationship, and I
Yeah.
think it's what makes it so beautiful and also kind of awkward at the same time. Is this
Yeah.
like complete innocence and like
But that's fascinating to watch, right?
It's
because
really,
you really are. It's what Matt said, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of those things, I mean, let's continue. What do you think about JD and Phoebe? Do you think this is gonna work?
I would like it too for Phoebe. I think as awkward as I think he entered into the series
you call me.
Come on.
I really thought that he was gonna like chop her up in pieces and put her underground, but like he's kind of grown on me a little bit, and I think there is like a sweet innocence, like when she was defending him in the episode prior, and she was saying, I love him, and he makes me feel smart, and he makes me feel important, and he makes me feel, like I matter, and stuff it, like shut up, like he's important to me.
Their relationship is interesting. It's almost the opposite to Joe and Scott, where Joe and Scott I will or haven't tried to change each other, whereas I think these two, is interesting which bits, and they can fit each other by gently changing each other so that they work as a couple, which is interesting.
I see them working. I mean, this was the episode I didn't find JD to be so awkward. Look at when he said to Phoebe, "You and I are going to work."
Oh, so sweet.
It was so sweet and so confident, and so. Whereas before I felt he was very childlike, he was a man speaking to the woman that he loves, and he comforted her, and I was like, they're going to be okay. That's how I see them lasting. Third time is a charm.
And I love that he was like drawing pictures of it, and she was like, "Oh, honey, no one's going to want to remember this."
Well, what are your predictions? Well, what would be your predictions?
Oh gosh, my prediction is that. I don't know. I actually agree with a lot that you have said, and I think I've learned never to make predictions. Reading this script week on week, I couldn't have predicted where this has gone even.
What do you think will happen with, we see in the final moments, which broke my heart, like Scott is coming to like really profess his love and be like, "You are it, and love can be beautiful, and love can be, whatever, it may not be perfect, but it's real, and what I feel for you is real." And he's trying to have this beautiful moment, and Joe kind of puts on his storm. She was tromped on his heart, and he was like, "You really are a bitch." Like,
that was a real slap in the face for Scott. I think it's a big thing, and that's a very good point. We're at a sort of a pass here. Does Scott then do a very male thing and retaliate with, "Well, you know what?
Just
fuck
go
you,
right, shagging people
I'm
left
gonna
and
go
right,
and that's it. I'm never opening up again. I can't trust this feeling anymore," and do that real and really create a sort of cage around him.
Oh, that would be so sad for me to see.
Right? That way, or just keep chipping away at that block, and or maybe she'll go after him, chase him. Who knows? But whatever, I predict a lot more pastries. Speaking of which, is now a good time? I brought you a little gift. Now, on the show, as you know, we shoot in Vancouver, and we have Heritage Bakery look after all, I think, amazing stuff. But because I'm in LA, I brought you a little thing from Sweet Ease. Now,
oh my gosh, that's so
they're
nice.
nearly like a Bite Me Pop, but not quite as phallic.
Oh my god, I love
but
it.
you do have to choose chocolate or vanilla.
I'm chocolate. Yeah, I already called it that.
I'm gonna come over.
Oh my god!
Oh, amazing!
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness!
Ladies, come on.
Oh man! Oh, the vanilla has little sprinkles on it.
You're so sweet.
What are you? She's a vanilla.
I will take anything from
apparently
Scotty
I
Toddy.
have read that.
You've read it? Oh my god.
Now if only you'd come in your apron.
Well, I'm so excited. Well, come around.
I'm not sure I'm going to answer that question.
Well, I want you to let us know what else is going on with you. What else you got going on? Are you filming something new?
Step up number 7?
Step up number 7. Bless them. Yeah. In wheelchairs.
Oh God.
Blake's the old guy in the back.
The hoverboards.
Yes, you guys may not know he's a professional dancer. Shaped his rear end.
Oh God, I can't do that anymore. No, so I have a film coming out, The Midnight Man. I'm very proud of coming out on DVD. You can pre-order it now as Amazon, which is coming out March 1st. The Midnight Man.
Like right around the corner.
Yeah, with William Forsythe, Brent Spiner, Vinnie Jones, great cast. And then I also have a little fun film coming, which is free to stream, called The Third Bandit, which is a sort of premise short that is on Story Hive as of the 29th.
All right.
So the day
Okay.
before, which you can look at and stream, and we're going to make that into a big feature film, hopefully, or even a TV show. There's interest. So a lot of stuff going on, and yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Well, guys, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of Hottie Toddy Scotty.
I hope so. Look, they're vegan. Did you see that?
I see that.
Sweet E's vegan. There you go.
All right. That's so awesome.
Well,
Going after what you eat them, though. That's the deal.
well, before we close down, let everybody know where they could find you.
Oh, yes, you can find me at I am Will Kemp on Twitter and also on Instagram, where I like taking lots of pictures. So please go ahead and follow me.
course,
But
please
not the pictures
do.
you're thinking. I know it. I know it.
I hope you post some of those. Maybe not. Maybe yes. With a okay. I know. I'm sorry.
But where would I put it? This is
try.
what I don't understand. Where would it fit?
All right, Isis. Where can everyone find you on the internet?
And you guys can find me at Isis Velazquez 4 on Twitter, Instagram, and all that good stuff.
And Lindsey Miller, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and sometimes awkwardly periscoping at Rockin' Mama Life.
I'm Tara Johnson. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, also at TJ Wagon or Tail.
And guys, I'm Sam Davidson. Thank you so much for tuning in all season. We love you guys and all of our guests. And let's hashtag for next season.
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. It's happening. It's
GG2DS3.
Yes.
Hashtag it.
It's a lot of
Absolutely.
Hound Bravo. Let's do it. I've had a great time. Thank you, ladies. It's been
Thank you so
fun.
much.
Hound them.
you.
And we appreciate you guys being in. You guys can find me, SamD43,
you
on
just say
Twitter,
pound
Instagram,
them?
all of it. We love you guys. We love Will Kemp and the entire cast. Thank you all
Hurrah,
so
it's
much.
party time.
Make sure you
Yeah.
check out Will Kemp.
Yeah.
We will hopefully see you all next season. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Eat my treat.
Thank you.
Gluten-free.
Do it.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.